If you've been following the channel, you know that I've decided to take on the daily UI challenge because I've been told by a bunch of my mentors that although my UX design and research skills are pretty strong, my UI skills not so much. So I've decided to take on these daily challenges, do some video training and readings beforehand, and apply everything that I'm learning to each challenge so that I can improve and get better. I've decided that instead of just simply showing you guys what I've made, I might walk you through a little bit of how I made it as well, so that if you like what you see, you can make it too. Hi everybody, welcome back. As you know, my name's Karen and I am a product design intern trying to break into the world of UX design. For challenge 1, we had to make a sign-in screen. Now these are pretty basic, so I'm not going to dive too far into how I made it. I'll just explain it to you. And 2, this one is something that I really want to show you guys. I'm going to show you how I made my credit card form, more specifically how I designed the actual credit card on the screen. I think it looks really, really nice. Maybe I'm biased, but I love it and it looks like an actual credit card to me. And I would love to show you how to make it so that you could really practice your UI skills as well. The design challenge was to create a sign-up page, modal, form, or app screen related to signing up for something. So the first thing that I did, which I would suggest that you all do first, is to look for sources of inspiration. So I just found a couple mock-ups that I thought looked interesting or cool that I might go for. And then I ended up actually wanting to redesign an app instead of creating one up from scratch, just because I thought that it would be good to use an example of something that was already in the real world. So I decided to remake the Patty sign-in screen because I myself am a scuba diver and I see myself using this app in the future. And as you can see here, they have a pretty simple UI and there's not too much going on. And so I really thought that this would be fun to revamp. So I was playing around with a couple different ideas. I started off with something like this, but I thought it might look too vacation-y and I wanted the purpose of diving to be very apparent, so I ended up going with this. And I'm gonna show you how I made some of the elements, but I feel like most of the elements are pretty self-explanatory, so we won't dive in too far, but let's take a look at some of the things that I made here. So for this icon, I just used the plugin Iconify, and I just looked up, what did I look up? I think I did exit or something, and nope, I did not. It must have been closed. So yeah, and you'll see a bunch here, and then you could just drag it in and change it to the size that you want, the color, etc. As for the elements in the top, I actually did not make these either. I imported, I think it was a PNG or an SVG file from a website that has a bunch of mock-ups of different iPhones, tablets, etc. And that website is over here. Excuse me. It's called Design at Meta, and they have a bunch of mockups that you can download, and that's where I got my stuff from. But I recently discovered a different plugin that I like better. It's called Clay Mockups 3D, so I'd suggest you look into using these for your future mockups so that your designs look a bit more crisp and professional. As for the elements, you know, it's pretty standard. To make the text box, I just drew a box on the side, I curved the edges a bit, changed the color, etc. And I think the only thing that I want to show you that might be a little different is how I put the image in the frame. So let's say you have a frame and it looks like, let me just grab a phone here, like this, and I want to fill the background. I will just go to File, Place Image. I'll find a random picture, so I'll just find a random picture right now. And then I'll click inside. So that's an example of how you can put a picture in the background of something. Challenge number 2 was design a credit card checkout form or page. Don't forget the important elements such as the numbers, dates, security numbers, etc. Just like last time, the first thing that I did was I looked at a couple different sources of inspiration. So you'll see that I collected these from Dribbble. I looked for common elements that I should include in my mockup. And you'll also notice that a theme amongst all of these mockups is that they all include an image of a credit card. Now, I specifically wanted to make my design include a credit card as well because I wanted to practice my UI skills. So I wanted to actually try and make a credit card myself. So this is what I ended up making. I hope you like it because I'm actually really happy with what I made. I decided to try and make a card based off of a real bank. In Canada, we have TD Bank. I don't know if you guys have this, but their brand colors are green, and I just wanted to make it look as realistic as I possibly could. So let's do a quick little walkthrough of some of the elements that I made. So you'll see some icons. There's this back button icon. There are these credit card, pay, and PayPal icons. There's also these check marks and this hint icon as well. All of those icons I did not make myself. Make your life easier and use plugins. The plugin I used was Iconify, and I just found the icons here, dragged them in, resized them, and changed the color. As for these little tiles here, if you're curious as to how I made those, it's really simple. I just drew a box. I curved the edges a bit. And then let's say it's white. Let me change it to white here. And then I added an effect of a drop shadow. Right now you can see the drop shadow is really obvious and you don't want it to look so sharp like that. So I changed the numbers to 1 and 1. And I also brought this down a bit. I mean, actually it looks nicer when it's a little more blurry. But that's kind of how I made those. So it kind of gives it a little bit of a 3D effect, and you'll notice that this one, the one that was actually selected, looks like it was pushed down because it doesn't have the drop down effect. Sorry, the drop shadow effect. So that's something really fun that you can include in your UI designs. They're really small details, but they make a big difference. Now for the actual card, this part is just text. This one is also just text. The Visa I got from Iconify. To make my logo, I just used text as well, and then I put a box behind it. So those were really simple. Now the more complicated aspect was the background of the actual card. I had to add gradient effects, and I also had to utilize the Bezier function of the line and pen tool. So I'll quickly show you what that is. So this is the background of the card, and first you'll start off by drawing a rectangle. Then you will curve the edges to however you like. And then we're going to add the color effect. So instead of having fill, I'm going to change this to linear. And I'm also going to change the positioning of how I want the colors to change. And I'm also going to change the opacity so that it's a solid color. And I'm going to click in the middle bar over here to make a third color. So now I have 3, and I'm going to start changing the colors. So this box represents this left side, and I'm just going to use my dropper here to grab the color that I have in my original. So I have a dark green. On the other end, I am going to grab my dropper, move this over a little, and grab this green color. And then for my central color, it is a very highlighter green. which I will grab right here. Alright, so first part done, super easy. Now we're going to make this kind of shadow wave over here. I'm sure there are many ways that you can make it, but the way that I made it was I made another rectangle, tried to mirror the shape. So let's see, what curves do I have here? 11. So I'm just gonna like mirror it here. But I don't want it on all of the corners, so let me just change back these ones. 0 and 0, there we go. And then I'm going to double click and you'll see that you have all of your points showing now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of points. Actually, no, you don't need to add points. Let's just grab the Bezier tool or bend tool. We're going to click on the element and then we're going to kind of curve the top the way that we want. So I think I want mine like this. And then we're also going to do this one. Whoops. Make sure you have the bend tool selected when you do so. And let's see. Ah, here we go. Okay, so I want it like that. And like I said, there's probably a more effective way to make this, but this is how I did it. I'm just going to copy this because I'm going to be cropping this shape. So I'm going to highlight this one and this one. I'm going to come up here and click intersect selection. So now I'm left with the bottom portion, which I'm going to use and overlap over top of my new card. And again, I'm going to change the coloring of my card to match what I had over here. So we're going to do something similar. We're going to change the color fill to linear. And we're going to bring this to 100% like we did last time. And I'm just going to change the positioning from left to right for my gradient. And for my left color, I'm going to do a dark green. So I'm going to choose something like this. And for this one, I'm going to do a bit of a lighter green. And next, I'm going to change the opacity of the entire shape. Just so you can see that nice little streak through the whole card. Just so it kind of makes it look a bit more realistic and like what credit cards look like in real life. So try your hand at making several cards. I made a gray one, a red one, and a green one. The gray one is meant to represent default state, and I just made a red one just for fun. So definitely try your hand at it. I promise you, you will feel so accomplished once you make this, especially if you're a newbie. I definitely felt great after I successfully made these cards totally on my own, and it was a lot of fun to do. So good luck to you, and I'll see you in challenge number 3. Alright you guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I will post my 3rd challenge very shortly. Now if you can do anything to support the channel, that would be much appreciated. Like, comment, subscribe, share, anything would be great. Thank you so much. I will see you guys next time. Bye!